blue dude, blue moon.
Hey guys, welcome back to Sweet Yellow House. It's time for our Friday craft. I'm going to start out with this linen white, mix it with some water, and I have it kind of like a really thinner, on the thinner side consistency, and I'm starting to move over this canvas with this picture. I want it thinner because I actually want to keep some of that texture from the original portrait underneath, and I actually went over that with about 3 coats just so that I could get some good coverage. I don't want it showing through with what I'm going to put on top. So after I was satisfied with the coverage, I went in and I let that dry, and then I went over it with some Mod Podge, also mixed with some water to thin that out, and I did 2 coats on that. When I put this on, I actually just went over it in any kind of direction because, again, I wanted to keep that texture going. I'm looking for an end result, and that's what I wanted to kind of keep that texture there for. So after I put 2 coats of that on, I let it dry, and I grabbed my liquid patina, and I actually purchased this decoupage. I believe it's rice paper, but from DiypageQueen is where I got it. And I am going to pour out some of my liquid patina, grab my paintbrush, and I'm gonna start applying the liquid patina, and I'm gonna start in the center just so I can kind of get a good idea of where I'm gonna be at, and it just is easier for me to kind of measure out where I'm going with it. So I place that down. I don't really worry about pushing it down at this point because I want to get it, and once you get this down, it's gonna stick, so you don't want to start off like that until you get it placed where you want. You need to be very mindful of that. This paper is, once it gets down, it's down, so just be very careful with your first placement. I'm gonna grab some saran wrap, and I'm just actually pushing that down very lightly with a light touch, because you again, you'll see that it'll become really easy to tear if you apply too much pressure. So I'm just going section by section. You want to make sure that you're getting that in the right up in there in the crease, so that way you're not skipping any spots and you're not going to have any air bubbles because it's not sticking to the canvas. So as I'm going section by section, I'm actually just pushing that down very lightly with the saran wrap, and you'll just see I don't want to do it all at once because I don't want to take the chance of it kind of wrinkling and then I'm not able to get it up or anything like that. You know, I need to be able to see what I'm doing. I just find it easier for me. If you feel very bold and you can put it all down at one time, then do that. I just am not, I don't feel that confident in my skills. So I go to the edge and I actually go ahead and place that around the edge, and I glue it down, and when I do that, I then take the knife and trim off the excess. And once I get that side set, I just start going on to the other side and working it section by section again. So here's where things kind of went awry because I didn't take my own advice, and I started pushing and pulling and being aggressive, and you will see right here where the paper tore, and at this point I was like this. So I decided my best plan of action at this point was to kind of pull the paper back where I could and pat it down, and I got some of that liquid patina on my finger and just applied it over top and pushed it down, but then I noticed that I still had some white showing through, so I moved on and just kept moving on because I was kind of thinking about what I was gonna do. So what I had decided at this point is I got some pieces from the ends that I cut off and matched it to what was there, and just kind of patched it. I felt like that was the best scenario. Instead of, you know, I thought, well, I could touch it up with paint or this or that, but this ended up working really well, and I was able to fix it to my liking and not stress out too much about it. So at this point, I'm letting that dry, and I'm going to start searching for a color to redo the green part on the frame, because I like the green, but I just felt like it was too dark for the portrait. So I ended up settling on this, and it's Farm Fresh from DIY, and I just put it out, mix it with a little water, because I'm just looking for a really kind of quick light. I don't want 100% coverage. I want it to be super rustic looking, and so I mixed it with water just to thin it out just a bit, not a whole lot, and I just go over the frame. I mainly wanted to do this because I had some really bad nicks in the frame, in the green and in the gold area, and I just felt like while I was able to lighten up that green color, I was also able to cover up a lot of those nicks and scratches and stuff. So I'm just going through, I'm trying to use longer strokes and just pulling it through. I believe I only went over this once. I didn't even do multiple coats on that. So I grabbed my gilding wax here, again using my finger, and I just went over the nicks and scratches that were there. No biggie. I let that dry for a little bit. Here you see me cleaning up some of the paint that I got on the gold, which is good with this paint because you could just clean it up with water even after it's dry. So I grabbed my clear wax and I went over my frame, and I'm just actually pulling everything together. It kind of, this wax will actually protect it, but it'll actually bring that paint together. It kind of just meshes everything together. It darkens up the color a little bit. When it dries, it'll become a little bit lighter, but it won't be as light as it was before. So I wanted to bring some of that gold that I had put down, so I wiped off some of the excess clear wax, and I put some dark wax over that. The clear wax being on there allows you to kind of manipulate that dark wax so that you aren't just completely like making it look so dark that you just lose a lot of that other stuff. So now what I'm doing is I'm getting a couple of these colors here, and what I'm wanting to do is I wanted to cover up the top and the bottom where I have those white stripes showing, because the paper wasn't as white as the canvas. So my thought was just to kind of make that kind of blend in, like it was kind of like, you know, coming in like a, you know, a little frame around it, but not, you know, I'm just kind of trying to mix it in there. So that's why I have so many colors to kind of meld everything together. I am putting that some through the painting as well, or the picture as well, just to kind of make it look like it's supposed to be there, and that's the way it's supposed to be. So it, you know, it kind of brings everything together. So after I got that where I liked it, I actually let that dry, and you can see here how that looks. So I let it dry, and I grabbed my liquid patina, and I'm going in for my second coat. So what I'm doing is I'm letting that actually, I'm just putting a light coat on for the first one. I'm pushing down those edges so that way I can make sure I don't have any air bubbles or anything that's not laying down flat. So I'm just putting a light coat over it, and I'm gonna let that dry, and once that's dry, then I'm actually gonna go in with a second coat. The first coat you want to be light because you don't want to take a risk of tearing that paper at all, in case there's anything that isn't kind of pushed down at first. So this here I'm showing is just my second coat, and I'm just kind of going in. Now I could be a little bit heavier handed with that because I already have that first protective coat on there. So hopefully you really love this as much as I do. I just think it came out fantastic, and I'm really happy with it. I will see you next Friday. Enjoy.
Blue moon, been one or two since I ran into